welcome back. We are again here with the 6th lecture of this current affairs series. Okay, we will be dealing again with the issues that have transpired in the last week. Okay, and as we have discussed earlier, we will be dealing with the prelims focused news and then a few topics that are important from the mains and prelims both. Okay, so let's start this lecture from here. First important news is China turns on artificial sun for the first time. ठीक है? Artificial sun क्यों कहते हैं इसको? Like why is it being called artificial sun? Because it produces temperature over 150 million degrees Celsius, which is more than the core of the sun. Okay. This is very important because it produces temperature even higher than sun. What is this actually? Artificial sun. It is a nuclear reactor basically. It is a fusion-based nuclear reactor. All the nuclear reactors we know or we deal with are fission-based. Fission means a heavier substance splits into lighter substance, and that splitting produces energy. क्यों? क्योंकि a new breaking away of nucleus will produce energy. ठीक है? क्यों? क्योंकि nucleus में protons और neutrons हैं. ठीक है? Protons and neutrons. These are bound by electrostatic forces. ठीक है? When this force is like broken down, they release energy, that is in form of heat. Okay, this is the basic concept of nuclear fission. In the very same way, when nuclear fusion occurs, here a heavier metal like uranium U-235 breaks down into lighter elements. ठीक है? These are radioactive outputs. These two are also radioactive substances. ठीक है? This is also a radioactive element. So what happens in fusion? What happens in fusion is, for example, this diagram, this figure you can see. This is a isotope of this is deuterium, an isotope of hydrogen, and this is tritium. This is also an isotope of hydrogen. When they combine, they form what? They form helium. Okay? And this combination also produces a lot of energy. This combination actually produces energy more than nuclear fission reaction. Okay? So this can be, if this reaction is controlled, if we can develop technology that can control this reaction, then we can produce higher amount of energy as compared to nuclear fission. ठीक है? Atomic bombs are based on the concept of nuclear fission. Fine. But due to the very high amount of energy, है ना? And what happens in nuclear fission is we use neutrons to bombard the nucleus of uranium, and then that high energy neutron, what does it does? It splits the uranium nuclei into two different radioactive substances, and that splitting produces a lot of energy. ठीक है? That is the basic concept of fission. In fusion, since these both are same charges, positive charge, ठीक है? So same charges, the fundamental concept about electrostatics, as we know from our basic learning, that same charges repel each other. ठीक है? और यहाँ पे तो they are going to combine to form a different nuclei like helium. ठीक है? In that case, you will be needing a lot of energy that makes them combine, है ना? In that case, you will be needing a lot of energy. ठीक है? तो उस इतनी सारी energy लाने के लिए we use this tokamak magnetic fusion. Tokamak magnetic fusion. Okay? Nuclear reactor. ठीक है? HL2M is the name of the reactor. From our exam point of view, this is very important. What is the name of reactor? HL2M, and it produces temperature of about 150 million degrees. Tokamak is nothing but a technology. Tokamak in the sense is a toroid. ठीक है? A toroid. What is a toroid? Toroid is basically a structure. ठीक है? If we take a pipe, cylindrical pipe, okay, and we bend it in this fashion, this becomes a toroid. And what tokamak does is tokamak produces high amount of magnetic energy, ठीक है, and these nuclei, these deuterium and tritium nuclei, which are the fissile material for this, they are basically in form of plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of matter, ठीक है, like solid, liquid, gas and plasma. Plasma are nothing but ionic charges, ठीक है. When something is heated to such a temperature that its state goes into like state of ionization, ठीक है, the whole element ionizes, then that state will be called plasma state, ठीक है. तो China plans to use this in collaboration with ITER, ठीक है. What is ITER? International Thermonuclear Energy Research Reactor, ठीक है. ITER is a project basically. ITER is a project that is going on since 2007. Okay. This ITER is a nuclear reactor. Fine. This is located in France. Okay. From our exam point of view, this is very important. What is ITER? What is China basically doing to do this? Going to do with this reactor? Okay. ITER is a fusion reactor. Fine. Is a fusion based reactor. Fusion based reactor. Okay. All the reactors in the whole world which produce energy, है ना, nuclear energy, the energy that we use for electricity transformation of like all these Apsara reactor and all these reactors are basically fission reactors. ठीक है. Fission में क्या होता है? The heavier nuclei splits and breaks into two lighter nuclei. और fusion में क्या होता है? Two lighter nuclei combine to form a heavier nuclei. ठीक है. Like deuterium and tritium, these form helium. ठीक है. Helium is a heavier nuclei. These are what isotopes of hydrogen. ठीक है. And fission में क्या होता है? A heavier nuclei like uranium 235 breaks down into lighter nuclei, and this breaking down will produce energy. That energy is used to convert water into steam, and that steam drives the turbine. That turbine drives the generator, and that generator provides us electricity. But there is a drawback with this fission-based nuclear reactor. First of all, it produces two radioactive nuclei that have higher life. ठीक है. So waste disposal in this fission-based nuclear reactors is a tough job. Whereas in this one, it only produces helium and extra neutrons. ठीक है. Helium is not a radioactive substance. Fine. So this one is having a higher benefit in the sense that the waste disposal problem of fission-based nuclear reactor gets solved into fusion-based nuclear reactors. ठीक है. But technological aspect of fusion-based nuclear reactor has not been like achieved to the scale that it can be converted into scalable technology that can be used economically. ठीक है. For that, ITER is a research reactor, a research basically going on in France. India is a member of this ITER. ठीक है. ITER has 35 countries as its member: European Union, India, China, Russia and South Korea. So China wants to use this nuclear reactor in sync with this ITER. Fine. Advantages of fission-based reactor are high energy content. Obviously, as I told you, high energy content, no long-lived radioactive waste, because the substance that gets produced during fusion is helium. Helium is not a radioactive substance. Fuels are readily available because the material that is being, the fissile material that is being used to produce this helium are deuterium and tritium. ठीक है. These are basically what? Isotopes of hydrogen. Hydrogen is very abundant on our earth. ठीक है. It can be easily obtained from water also, like from electrolysis of water. ठीक है. H2O है ना, इसका electrolysis कर देंगे तो hydrogen and oxygen we can easily obtain. Fine. And from them we can make these isotopes. So fissile material is easily available. This is one of the greatest advantage. Whereas in case of fission-based nuclear reactor, uranium 235 is very costly and it is not readily available. ठीक है. although technologies are being developed to utilize thorium also, and India has huge reserves of thorium in form of monazite sand in Kerala. Okay, but still that technology development has not yet been achieved to the scale of getting that technology economically. Okay, so what are its advantages? And virtually inexhaustible. Inexhaustible in the sense they are readily available, and their source is very inexhaustible in the sense that we can produce as much deuterium and tritium as we need as compared to the uranium. Okay? This is tokamak technology, the kind of nuclear reactor we are talking about. This is the toroid, as I told you, this whole thing. Okay? It's not important from exam point of view, but it's good that we have a understanding of what things are and how things are going to happen. Okay? This is a strong magnetic field. These blue coils, they represent strong magnetic fields that keeps this ionized plasma. This is plasma. Fine. Plasma in the sense that these are ions. Okay? Deuterium and tritium के ions. Okay? This high magnetic field keeps it floating inside. Okay? And when they react, they produce high amount of energy. This is basic concept of tokamak reactors. The second important news that we have had this week is Cancer Genome Atlas program. Okay? It was a conference. It was virtually held. Last year also it was held in Pune, IISER, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Pune. This year it was virtually held. What is it? Cancer Genome Atlas program. Basically, it tries to map the cancer cells, fine, and the genes that are related to cancer. What are genes? Genes are genetic material. Take a fundamental amount, like the fundamental unit of heredity, that is gene. Gene carries the gene are basically, genes decide how our life or how our health is going to be. Okay? Genes are the base fundamental material of our hereditary content. Okay? So if we can analyze ki how genes are affected, okay, how genes function, so we can observe कि genes में कोई अगर mutations हो रहे हैं, कोई changes हो रहे हैं, तो वो cancer की effect से कैसे changes हो रहे हैं, ठीक है? How cancer is going to affect this gene, or how this gene is related to the cancer, या which gene is related to which kind of cancer, ठीक है? तो if we are able to map this genome sequence, ठीक है? Genome sequence means इसमें क्या होगा? DNA, RNA होगा, उसका sequence map करना from the point of biologists या from that point medical research, that is important. जो इस जीन का सीक्वेंस होगा वो क्या होगा? RNA and DNA. फाइन, RNA DNA का जो स्ट्रक्चर होगा उसको मैप करना, एंड टू स्टडी द वेरिएशंस, ठीक है, एंड टू स्टडी द वेरिएशंस as to what variation caused what type of gene, what variation in the gene caused what type of cancer. That will help us to very precisely attack the cancer and precisely cure it. Like now we have drugs which are like one size fits all. If this technology gets developed, we can be using different drugs for different kind of cancers and different kind of people also. For that, USA has a program, ठीक है? USA का NIH, National Institute of Health, there is an organization in USA. It has mapped around 33 different kind of cancers, ठीक है? It has mapped around the genes of 33 different kind of cancers, and they have located as to what gene causes what type of cancer for at least 33 kind of cancers, ठीक है? But the point is कि the population is Caucasian, ठीक है ना? Caucasian population, but ours is Asian, or we have Indian population which has a different genetic makeup as compared to this European descent, ठीक है? For our convenience, it is important that we map our own genetic content, ठीक है? So that we can be more precise about our own treatments. For that, this Transnational Cancer Research, a joint initiative between NIH, USA and IISER Pune, has been established. It helps in mapping India's genetic content related to cancer. ठीक है? From exam point of view, this is important in the sense ki it was held at last year, it was held at IISER Pune, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research. Okay, and it is a transnational cancer research, is a joint initiative between NIH USA and IISER Pune. Fine. The third important news is municipal bonds issued by Lucknow Municipal Corporation got listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. ठीक है? So what are municipal bonds? Municipal bonds are nothing but debt instruments. ठीक है? What are municipal bonds? Municipal bonds are nothing but debt instruments. What are debt instruments? If you have to fund something, if you want to raise money, if you want to raise capital, you can raise it by two methods. One is debt and the other is equity. Fine. Debt and equity. Fine. Equity means shareholding. Fine. This is very important. Shareholding. Whereas debt means bonds. Bonds and debentures. Bonds and debentures. What are debentures? Debentures are nothing but debt instruments को ही हम debentures कहते हैं. So if you have to raise capital, you can do basically in two forms. Okay, either you can raise it through capital or equity or through debt. So what are municipal bonds? Municipal bonds are a method of raising capital for municipalities or for like urban local bodies by raising debt instruments, by issuing debt instruments in the form like if Lucknow Municipal Corporation issued what? A debt instrument. A debt instrument. What is a debt instrument? It bears the name of the holder, है ना? And it has a very certain face value. Like if it has ₹100 face value, ठीक है? It is a bond. It is a bond that is being held by some person. Who issues it? Lucknow Municipal Corporation. Any urban local body can issue. ठीक है? And this bond, इसको ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि it was Lucknow Municipal Corporation published this bond and it issued it in the market. People bought it. When people bought it, people paid ₹100 to Lucknow Municipal Corporation. ठीक है? People paid ₹100 to Municipal Corporation, and it has a bearing that after 5 years, okay, or 3 years, whatever the period may be, after 5 years or 3 years, Lucknow Municipal Corporation will repurchase this bond, ठीक है, at ₹110. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट 110 हो गया, यानी ₹10 इंटरेस्ट हो गया, और इसको लखनऊ म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन विल every month issue a dividend or even interest payments will be done to the person who is holding this bond. तो ये तो बेसिक हुआ कि how to raise capital in capital market. तो अगर म्युनिसिपल बॉन्ड्स की बात करें तो there are two important things. First of all, municipal bonds are debt instruments issued by municipal corporations or urban local bodies. Fine. First it was issued by Bangalore Municipal Corporation in 1997. ठीक है? Bangalore Municipal Corporation 1997, because Bangalore was at that time was also going through this software boom. ठीक है? बहुत सारा सॉफ्टवेयर आउटसोर्स होके अमेरिका से बैंगलोर में आ रहा था, जिसकी वजह से वहां पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट वाज गोइंग ऑन एट अ वेरी रैपिड पेस. तो Bangalore Municipal Corporation actually had the strength of issuing a municipal bond. What are the problems with municipal bodies? Municipal bodies, although they have been authorized to collect many taxes, ठीक है, but the tax collection or the revenue of municipal bodies is very low in all the states. ठीक है? These municipal corporations, when will they be able to issue this bond? Only if they have the ability to pay it back. When will they able to pay it back? If the infrastructure they develop, they are going to charge fees on that. ठीक है? अगर इसको हम सिंपल टर्म्स में समझें तो बैंगलोर म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन makes a hospital, ठीक है, makes a hospital and a toilet, ठीक है, they will charge some fees, okay, on this also, and the fees collection will ultimately go to paying back the debt they have issued, they have raised from this municipal bond. ठीक है? But if these hospitals and these toilets are not being used by the public, or the fees the municipal corporation has levied is not being paid by the users, ठीक है? In that case, what will happen? This municipal corporation will not be able to pay back the debt it has raised from the municipal bonds. इसीलिए there has been some eligibility conditions mentioned by SEBI for municipal bonds. ठीक है? Municipal bonds को munis भी कहते हैं. ठीक है? They are regulated by SEBI, as all the capital market is regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India. Securities and Exchanges Board of India. Municipal bonds are tax free. Fine. So what are the eligibility conditions? The municipality must not have a negative net worth, है ना, in previous 3 years. ठीक है? The net worth का मतलब क्या हुआ? The sum total of assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities should not be negative. ठीक है? यानी assets should always be greater than liabilities. If this condition is fulfilled, ठीक है? If this condition for 3 years, for past 3 years, then only can a municipal corporation issue what? A municipal bond. Then only a municipal corporation can raise capital through the use of this debt instrument. ठीक है? Fine. And the second criteria is the municipality must have no default in the repayment of debt securities and loans. In case if the municipal corporation has already raised some loan or some debt, like loan or issued any debt instrument like bond previously, so it should not have defaulted on the payment of interest or the loan. ठीक है? अगर ये दो conditions fulfill हो रही हैं, then only a municipal corporation can issue a municipal bond to raise capital. Fine. I hope you understood this. From exam point of view, this is important. First municipal bond was issued by Bangalore Municipal Corporation 1997. Municipal bonds are regulated by SEBI. This is also important in the sense that all the capital market is regulated by SEBI. ठीक है? And money markets are regulated by both SEBI and RBI. They have overlapping domains. अब capital market और money market में क्या difference है? Capital market is a place जहाँ पे 1 year से ज़्यादा के tenure के जो securities वह हैं वो बेची और खरीदी जाती हैं. ठीक है? Money market में 1 day से लेके 1 year तक. ठीक है? तो this is the basic difference between capital market and money market. Money market is what? जहाँ पे 1 day से लेके 1 year तक की securities का transaction होता है वो money market है. Capital market वो है जहाँ पे 1 day से लेके 1 year से ज़्यादा के भी transactions होते हैं. Basically greater than 1 year. ठीक है? यानी long term security transaction है वो capital market में होते हैं. They are governed by SEBI alone. Whereas in money market, short term transactions are taking place, and that is governed by both SEBI and what? SEBI and this RBI. ठीक है? This is very important in the sense कि बहुत सारा news daily आ रहा है आजकल कि which institution ICMR का we read about ICMR Delhi है ना, and this clinical trials are going on. So we need to understand as to how the governance of all these drugs is going on in country. ठीक है? तो I have made this presentation specifically for drug regulation in India. ठीक है? Why? Because Serum Institute has recently applied for DCGI. ठीक है? Drug Controller General of India. ठीक है? Drug Controller General of India. This is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. ठीक है? From exam point of view, this is very important as to कि remember रखना कि which organization or which this governing body falls under which ministry, because this has been specifically mentioned in the syllabus. Serum Institute, ठीक है, is the largest producer of vaccine in India. It's a private body and it has applied for DCGI for emergency use authorization. ठीक है? Emergency use authorization has not been defined in Indian law. Important thing is it has not been defined in Indian law as to what is emergency use authorization. ठीक है. Still these companies have applied for what? Emergency use authorization, so that the vaccine that they have been developing for this COVID, that can be used on the general population. ठीक है. Usually it takes at least 1 year for a drug to be certified, but this is the case of emergency, है ना? For that they have applied to DCGI. Fine. But there has been no special procedure defined in Indian law for emergency use authorization. Okay, this Serum Institute is going to develop this AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, which is being developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca. ठीक है? These companies are developing this COVID vaccine, and Serum Institute is going to produce this in India. ठीक है? तो ड्रग रेगुलेशन को समझने के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है पहला बायोमेडिकल रिसर्च, फिर क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स, मैन्युफैक्चर, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड सेल, पोस्ट मार्केटिंग सर्वेलेंस एंड प्राइसिंग. टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस, इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ मेडिकल रिसर्च, ठीक है, दिस बॉडी governs all kind of medical research in biomedical research in India. ठीक है. If any kind of biomedical research like research on COVID vaccine, ठीक है, that research, that the quality of that research है ना, that will be governed by Indian Council of Medical Research. ठीक है. If this council certifies that yes, this research has established evidence for against this COVID, then only this can proceed into the step of being formulated as a drug. ठीक है. The second phase, this is biomedical research. This is preclinical trials. What is this? This is preclinical trial. उसके बाद आता है clinical trials. Now that one company has developed a vaccine, ठीक है, they are not sure about its efficacy, है ना, so they will what they will do, they will test it on like monkeys and rabbits and humans also, and that is called clinical trial. Fine. Clinical trial में दो तरीके की चीजें होती हैं. एक प्लेसिबो ग्रुप बनाया जाता है. ठीक है. Recently a minister was also administered a vaccine, and despite that vaccine he has caught COVID. ठीक है. तो what is this placebo group? Placebo group में ये है कि the company that is developing this vaccine, ठीक है, it will select a group of people, ठीक है, it will select a group of people, and these people will not be knowing, these people will be told कि you will be going a clinical trial. ठीक है. This is a group of people. ठीक है. This is the company which has developed the vaccine. Okay. This company will administer specific drugs on these people. This company will even the people who are administering the drug, they will also even be not aware कि which person gets the drug and which person. What is placebo? Placebo is a false drug. ठीक है. Some of them will get the right drug and some of them will not get the right drug. ठीक है. उन्हें कोई ऐसे ही placebo दे दिया गया है. ठीक है. And then at the end a record is maintained कि which group develops immunity. ठीक है. Fine. And then if like 1 2 3 4 5 6, if there are 10 people in the group, ठीक है, and 6 people develop immunity against the virus, then it will be like 60%, the drug has 60% efficacy. ठीक है. तो this will come in clinical trials and new drug formulation, that is controlled by CDSCO, Central Drug Standards Control Organization, DGHS, Directorate General of Health Services under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This is very important क्योंकि this has been in news. This whole chart is very important. You should make notes of it because this whole process has been in news for like an year now, because the time since this started, है ना, this biomedical research started for developing of COVID vaccine, this has been in news. So clinical trials and new drug approvals are maintained by Central Drug Standards Control Organization, which is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. ठीक है. Manufacturing under Drugs and Cosmetic Acts, ड्रग्स एंड कॉस्मेटिक्स एक्ट, ठीक है, ड्रग्स एंड कॉस्मेटिक्स एक्ट 1940, ठीक है, दिस इज द एक्ट दैट गवर्न्स ऑल दिस प्रोसेस, ठीक है, इंडिया में. This mandates that state drug regulatory authorities, SDRA means state drug regulatory authorities on the Department of Health, ठीक है, Department of Health, okay, manufacturing will be done by states, ठीक है, states can manufacture drugs, ठीक है, but clinical trials and approval of the drug is a sole domain of central government, ठीक है. लेकिन once this drug has been approved clinically fit, it can be manufactured by agencies that are controlled by state drug regulating authorities, ठीक है. Those agencies can be private or can be government institutes, ठीक है. One thing to note here is Department of Health state, यहाँ पे मैंने लिखा Department of Health, यहाँ पे लिखा Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, because बहुत important चीज यहाँ पे ये है कि there is no concept of ministry in स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स में मिनिस्ट्रीज नहीं होती, डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल डोंट नो दिस, बट दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू मेंशन, ठीक है. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स, ठीक है, you don't have to learn everything from the point of view of exam, ठीक है. You also need to learn the governance, the structure of governance of the country, है ना. Once you are very well with this concept of governance, so it will not be like tough job to remember all these things. But state drug regulatory authorities can control the drug manufacturing, ठीक है. Clinical trials will be controlled by central government. Drug manufacturing will be controlled by state governments, ठीक है. What are exceptions? There are a few exceptions, however, like vaccines. Vaccines can be only regulated by the manufacturing of vaccines can be regulated by central government. High risk products and blood related products, these are exceptions, ठीक है. These can be regulated only by the central government. उसमें मैन्युफैक्चर होकर जब ड्रग सेल में जाता है, ठीक है, स्टेट ड्रग रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज अंडर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हेल्थ. अगेन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड सेल इज कंट्रोल्ड बाय स्टेट ड्रग रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज, ठीक है. पोस्ट मार्केटिंग सर्वेलेंस इज डन बाय CDSCO, सेंट्रल ड्रग स्टैंडर्ड्स कंट्रोल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर. Another important thing is this again comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Up to this point, everything is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare or Department of Health Services under state governments. But pricing is fixed by National Pharmaceutical Pricing Agency, NPPA, ठीक है, NPPA, and NPPA is under Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. This is very important. This was also in exam, ठीक है, कि National Pharmaceutical Pricing Agency comes under which, ठीक है. तो since manufacturing, sale, distribution है ना, ये सारा और control of biomedical research all comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, तो people do get confused कि even pricing will be under what, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. But NPPA का National Pharmaceutical Pricing Agency का mandate है कि it ensures कि the availability of low cost drugs in the market, है ना, and it ensures the like ample amount of availability of a drug in the market, ठीक है. And this is under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, not Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This is very important, ठीक है. There is another body, IPC, Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission basically regulates the education of pharmacy in India, ठीक है, education of pharmacy in India, ठीक है. So this sums up the whole process of governance of like drug regulation, drug manufacturing, drug sale in India, है ना, from biomedical research to its pricing. This is very important. I believe ऐसे बहुत ही systematic manner में बहुत कम जगह दिया हुआ है, कहीं दिया नहीं है. मुझे लगा कि I like it took a bit of research to make this chart, and this is very important because UPSC is very fond of these ministries and their departments, ठीक है. So you should be very well aware with all this thing, ठीक है. So have a good look at this, and now you will be very easily able to understand when this serum, whatever this COVID vaccine develops, अब जो भी news आएगी, once you have like read this chart and like you are fine with this chart, once you are good with this chart, you will be able to understand whatever news is therein whatever the news comes about all this vaccine, when these vaccine goes into manufacturing or distribution, sales and pricing also, ठीक है.